Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring Dungeon Tactics. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this video game inspired tabletop RPG, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the equipment section, the beast theory section, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this RPG. When it comes to equipment, you have an assortment of weapons, armor, items. They are all very neat when it comes to the graphics, their usability, their protection value, their offensive value, etc. But there are two problems with this section. The first one is a minor thing. You have graphics, but as you can see here, when it comes to the warrior items, they should be swords. The weapons of the warrior should be swords, but you have hammers, just like the Templar. So there is a misplacement of graphics. And this also happens in the potion section. The healing potions should be blue according to their description, but here you have graphics that depict red potions. And now here is the major issue. You don't have a clear pricing on each of these items. If someone is new to tabletop RPGs, this could be a problem. That person won't have any idea at all on how to price these items. And when it comes to veterans, well, you can always use some other RPGs as examples because the prices sometimes are similar, but in this case, when it comes to this non-randomness RPG, where there are no dice involved whatsoever, you would expect a bit more precision. So not putting a clear value of gold in these items, in these lists, really presents somewhat of an obstacle. However, you do have some guidelines on how to create other items, so that's neat. But again, the pricing information is missing. Now let's talk about the beast theory section. This section is great, very well organized. You have a good idea on how to create monsters. It is quite similar to creating player characters, but there is a rewarding of the classes. For example, when it comes to monsters, instead of warriors you have fighters. Instead of flame weavers, you have burst wizards. Instead of frost lords, you have daemons. Instead of templars, you have myth shields, and so on. And how monster minions are cannon fodder, while perhaps villains are a bit stronger. Brutes are on par with the player characters, and overlords are the most powerful. They are the usual masters of the dungeon. So all of the information concerning their duties, their characteristics, it is all here. And this concludes my review of Dungeon Tactics. What do I think about it? I think the main issue lies in editing. And there is a certain disconnection when it comes to the placement of graphics that I mentioned, the items themselves, but really the wording of some of the abilities, the class abilities, is quite lackluster. For example, as I have mentioned before, mind over matter. It says here, you grant 4 physical and 4 magical armor to yourself or a target until the end of the round. It would be much better, you grant 4 to physical and magical armor, comma, to yourself or a target, comma, until the end of the round. That's a bit more clear. And when it comes to this warrior ability called Get Behind Me, it reads, you increase the physical defense of any ally within sight range by +1 for any warrior ability you use. It's a bit confusing. Perhaps it should be every time you use a warrior ability, increase the physical defense of any ally within sight range by +1. And it should also explain if this is cumulative or if this is a one turn thing, or rather one combat round thing. Because otherwise, perhaps it stacks up, but it doesn't say. There is also the thing about vision range and sight range. You need to handle the same wording. You cannot just change things like that, especially when it comes to this type of RPG that is supposed to be very precise. And when it comes to the ability of the scoundrel, definitely completely useless at the start. It is only when you spend your advances on very specific class abilities that you can actually make it worth something. And it shouldn't be like that. All of the other starting abilities are useful, but this one, it is so lackluster. So I think perhaps an errata would have been good for this RPG. That being said, I still recommend it because it is quite unique, and all of those problems concerning the wordings or explanations of the class abilities, with a bit of common sense, it is possible to overcome those cases that are a bit too ambiguous. This tabletop RPG offers a unique experience, almost like a chess-like experience, and it will truly feel like a highly strategic and tactical video game RPG. So I actually recommend this as a diamond in the rough. You need to determine if it is too rough for you, but if you think these issues are very easy to overcome, then my highest recommendation for Dungeon Tactics. There is no other thing like it. There are a couple of other games that I know that try to emulate this Final Fantasy Tactics style of gameplay, but when it comes to Dungeon Tactics, it is the only one that is diceless. And I would definitely recommend getting this as a physical book, because the graphic design, the book itself, it looks beautiful. So, with that being said, I hope you will be able to make up your mind when it comes to getting this one or not. But as a personal recommendation, definitely get it. Thank you for watching this review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. This has been Abraham El Jaguar, a professional game master. If you want me to run a game for you, please check out the pinned comment below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you, and see you later.